Hey Bamsi, welcome to my channel. Thank you so much for stopping by. Today I have a treat. I have the Budget by Paycheck workbook with me. So this is the 2021 edition. I had this delivered to me by the 22nd, so it actually got shipped out quite early. So today we are going through the unboxing, and then I'll be showing you a comparison between the 2021 version and the 2020 version, which I have been using for a moment. So if you want to know what the 2021 version looks like, so this is the 2020 version and the one we're unboxing is the 2021 version, and I'll be giving a comparison of the two. So let's get right into it. And there we have it. So let's go through each item one by one, and then we shall flip through and then check out the differences. So in the inside of the box, you see that Miko has a signed note. Thank you for supporting TBM. I appreciate you. And let's get right into what I ordered. So this year, some shipping information. I ordered the botanical cash envelopes, which I already have, but I decided to purchase some more. So we have 8, and then I'll show you what these look like in just a moment. And then we have the bookmark, which you use for sectioning out pages in your Budget by Paycheck workbook. And then she has a coupon for next year. So yeah. Then we have the star of the show. So this is the Budget by Paycheck workbook for 2021, and this is a huge book. This is a really big one. So I will place this out of the way, and then we can flip through our baby. So I just shot the entire video and realized that the video quality was bad, the light was bad, so I have to redo this. So in terms of comparisons from the cover, so the 2020 version has a cover with some form of cardboard material, and the 2021 has some form of plastic, but I prefer this one better because this is actually waterproof, and I'm expecting that the sides or the corners won't frail when storing it. I basically do not move around with my workbook, but the cardboard has stood up until now, but I think with an updated version where we are now having this like plastic foam kind of cover, we should be good. So right afterwards we have our first page, which is basic information. So this is where you add information saying who the workbook belongs to and how they can contact you. In the 2021 version, she has a little note about herself and the Budget by Paycheck workbook. And then right after the cover page, we go straight into the financial plan for the 2020 version. So this is where you'd set your short-term goals, your mid-term goals, and your long-term goals. However, so I'll flip through this one. So this is your first page in 2020. 2021 has some new features which I really love. So in the new Budget by Paycheck workbook, she has included all the instructions on how to go about using the Budget by Paycheck workbook. So we have a description of the Budget by Paycheck workbook to the top, and then she's given the actual full step-by-step process. So for the Budget by Paycheck workbook, it's a 9-step process. The first step is to find and identify your motivation and your why. Track and categorize your spending. Very, very important. Number 3 is identify your regular bills. Number 4 is determine your variable spending and set up a cash envelope system. So I use the Budget by Paycheck workbook for my budgeting, which is a zero-based budgeting methods. There are literally hundreds of other budgeting methods, but I found that using the zero-based budget method works well, and I use that in conjunction with the cash envelope system, which allows you to categorize your spending in specific categories, and then you use that amount, or rather that money from each budget category. Then we have utilize a budget calendar, which we shall see in a moment. Prioritize your savings goals. Create a debit plan if you're paying off your debt. Create a realistic budget using the Paycheck bill tracker, and then tweak and perfect. Then we have instructions on how to go about using and entering information for each worksheet that we are going to see. So she has a section where she's explaining the yearly worksheets, how you will go about defining your financial plan and goal worksheet and answering and filling in that form. You have another section explaining the membership and subscription. Then we have the yearly savings goals and events. Then we have the yearly savings tracker, sinking funds, the yearly spending overview, the yearly balance overview. So all of this information has been included in the 2021 version. However, if you notice, right after flipping through the first page, that information was missing in the 2020 version, which was still fine, except that trying to figure out how to use the workbook was a bit tedious. All this information was available, but it was available in video format. So the easiest way to find out all of this information if you have bought a version of the Budget by Paycheck workbook is by going to BPP Central, where all the videos are included on how to go about utilizing the Budget by Paycheck workbook. So right after we have the monthly worksheets. So these are the worksheets that you'll be filling in from month to month. So you have your budget calendar, then we have your paycheck bill tracker, which is essentially your budget. Then we have the cash envelope breakdown. So if you use cash envelopes for your day-to-day expenses, this is where you would indicate how much you will need for each budget category. Then we have the expense tracker. Really, the most important portion of this workbook is the expense tracker. If you can master how to enter information in your expense tracker, then you should be good to go. Then we have more information on the other worksheets, which are the debit payment plan. Then we also have the monthly net worth tracker, another favorite of mine. Then we also have a section where to identify your spending on a monthly basis, and these are included in your Where Did My Money Go worksheet. So there are 3 Where Did My Money Go worksheets. So we have the monthly comparison, then we have another section for your debt and your savings, and then a month-to-month comparison as well. So these are your Where Did My Money Go worksheets, all of this section up to here. Then we also have a section which is the last page, I believe, in each month, which is the cash envelope teller slips, which are also included after every month. So once you get through the instruction pages, then you will finally end up with your financial plan and goal worksheet. So these are essentially the same from 2020 to 2021. Nothing has changed. It's just the color theme that is different for now. So not much in terms of change for this one. You would still have a section to define your short-term goals, your mid-term goals, and your long-term goals. We move on to the next page, which is the membership and subscription reminder worksheet. Essentially, this is where you would enter all your memberships and subscriptions, their due dates, the description, the annual cost, and the monthly cost. So this is where you track things such as your Amazon subscription For me, it would be my Grammarly, because I use that one a lot, Canva, and other apps that I use that are subscription based. Then right afterwards, we have the yearly savings and goal events worksheets, and these are exactly the same. So for the yearly savings worksheets, we still have a slot to enter 8 goals. So you have a total of 8 goals where you indicate their yearly goal that you would want to save up for, the monthly amount, and the due date. That would be the exact same thing that you see in the 2020 version as well. Then we have the yearly savings tracker, where you indicate the beginning balance for each goal that you would write on this page. So if it's goal 1 and I'm saving up for an emergency, my emergency fund, I would write my beginning balance, and then as I add or subtract throughout the year until I finally get to my end. So this is what you use for your yearly savings tracker. So in terms of the 2020 version, this is where all the worksheets end, and then we move straight into January. However, we still have a few more worksheets to go through for the 2021 version. So before, you could access these sinking fund visual trackers in BBP Central, but for the 2021 version, she has decided to include this worksheet, and I think because it is included in this worksheet, I'll probably be more consistent in terms of updating my sinking funds. Not only that, after using the Budget by Paycheck workbook for about 10 months now, I have now identified which ones are my actual sinking funds, and then what are things that I just simply want to buy once off. So I have a system which I have now created for myself where I identify my sinking funds, and then another worksheet which I call my wish list. Now, the difference between the two for me is that even though it is a wish list, I will probably save up for it using the sinking funds method, where I will save bit by bit for that specific item until I reach that goal. Then we have the yearly spending overview. So this is where you would write out your yearly spending overview information once you have closed out your budget for each month. So you would write out your total income, and then all your expense categories, which you would write out, and then the total amount of expenses will be indicated at the bottom. And then if you subtract income and expense, that should give you a balance. If you're using a zero-based budget, this balance should always equal out to 0, which is one thing I'm still working on, but I have since gotten better. And the key, by the way, is to ensure that you track your expenses as soon as they happen. And then we have the yearly balance overview. So for the yearly balance overview, you can track your savings balance, you can track your debt balance, your retirement balance, and your net worth. For me, I will probably track only 3, which will be the savings balance, the retirement balance, and my net worth. And this is done across 2 pages. Oh, actually, nope. Is it done across 2 pages? Or you can actually decide. One section might have 2 or 1, and then another section can have something else. So I might have my savings here, and then my retirement and net worth on the other. Then we have the bill tracker and the year for which you are tracking those bills. So you have a due date for recurring bills, and then a description of that bill or an expense, the amount that is due, your payment method, and a check mark which you can include if it is an auto pay or not. So basically, as you go through this list, let's say I have recurring monthly bills concerning paying for my ground rates, which are property taxes, the water, electricity, internet, and let's say some DSTV subscription. So this is where I would add those bills, and then as they are paid off for that month, I would then come to this worksheet and then tick. Then we have the medical bill payment tracker. So if you have some medical expenses with specific insurance companies, this is where you would enter this information. I personally do not use this one because I have insurance through work. And then we have a page which you can use to write out your thoughts and notes or whatever it is that you see fit. So for me, I'll probably use this to create a vision board or my financial vision board, and I'll document all of this on my YouTube channel just before the beginning of 2021. So if you actually want to watch that video, please don't forget to subscribe, hit the like button if you're enjoying the video already. Then we move right into the months. So this is what the visual looks like in terms of the cover page for the months. We have the tabs already indicated for you in terms of which month belongs to what tab belongs to which month, and the tabs are laminated so they do not frail, and they were also laminated last year, and you can see they've held up really well. So we go straight into our first worksheet, which is the budget calendar. So the budget calendar has changed for the coming year. So we have a single page for the budget calendar and it's undated, meaning you can start using the budget calendar and in whichever month that you receive the workbook. So this is where you would write the bills for the month and the dates that they will happen. This is the worksheet or the page that I also use to include my savings challenges, and then you have a section right at the bottom to write the goals for the month. However, in the 2021 version, we have 2-page spread for our budget calendar, and I prefer this over this simply because I can write out information with a bigger font. So the budget calendar is undated, so you can simply write out dates yourself, and then the section to write the goals of the month has been moved to the side, and I think you could probably write more information on this goals for the month as opposed to this side. But this is your budget calendar. And then we move on to one of my favorite worksheets, which is the Paycheck Bill Tracker. So the Paycheck Bill Tracker has not changed much. I believe it's the same format. So you have a section to include your income right at the top, then a section to include the total bills, and then another section for your cash envelopes or your variable spending, and another section to highlight your sinking funds, a section to include your extra debt payments and extra savings payment, and a formula that will guide you in terms of determining whether or not you have actually allocated all your money to a specific purpose. Remember, income minus expenses for a zero-based budget must zero out, so that should cancel itself out. And then we have the cash envelope breakdown. The cash envelope breakdown hasn't changed much. So the change that has happened is that we now have a section to include our specific denomination breakdowns, in the sense that 2020 had specified denominations. So if you're in a country that does not have these denominations, you can now specify which ones do you use. The formula for the finding the breakdown is essentially the same, but you can also include your monthly thoughts or notes on this section as well. But she's also included a small box for identifying or indicating your priority goal for the month. So that is quite nifty. So so after the cash envelope breakdown, we see that we have more paycheck bill trackers. I believe we have 5 in both versions. So let's simply check through 2021. So this is the first bill tracker. So this is bill tracker 1, that is 2, that is 3, 4, and then 5, and then we go straight into expense tracker, and that would be the same for 2021. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, and paycheck bill tracker 5, and then our expense trackers. So we still have 5 paycheck bill trackers for months where you have 5 weeks and people are being paid on a weekly basis. So the budget by paycheck workbook should still work fine in those scenarios as well. Then when we move on to our expense trackers, we see that she's now included a section for accounts. So you can now identify which account money is actually being put from, and also the same section to indicate your starting balance. In terms of the column headings, I don't think anything has changed. You would simply indicate your date, your account, the transaction, the category, withdraw, deposit, and ending balance. So now this expense tracker will actually dictate everything else that comes afterwards in terms of how to go about answering the worksheet. So I will zoom in a moment. So in terms of expense trackers, because there's one point I want to highlight which is really important and it took a moment to figure out. So in terms of expense trackers, we have 1, 2, 3, 4 in the 2020 version. However, she's added 6 expense trackers for the 2021 version, which is actually nifty because I end up running out of space for my cash envelopes because I pretty much highlight every single transaction and don't put them in bulk. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 expense trackers, and then right after we have the debt payment plan, which we shall discuss in a moment. But before we get there, I want to quickly highlight something regarding the expense tracker, which is really important in case there are people struggling how to use the expense tracker. So the expense tracker essentially has the following columns. It has a section to indicate the date when that transaction happened. It also has a section for account, and then another section to indicate the transaction, the category, withdraw, deposit, and ending balance. So let's assume we are pulling out information from my cash envelopes as the account. So generally what happens is that when you purchase something, so let's say I am purchasing something at the grocery store, like bread. So I would indicate the date. So let's say today is the 25th. I'll indicate 25th. So the account it is coming out from would be the cash envelope from which I put that money from. So in this case, it would be my grocery cash envelope. And then the transaction, maybe I would write bread or something. Then the category indicates actually the section or the category where I am spending that money on, and then the withdraw. So let's say I bought bread, I put out the information from the grocery cash envelope, so it would be grocery, bread, grocery, and then let's say 15 kwacha as my withdrawal because that's how much I've put out. Now, assuming I have run out of money from my grocery budget, but I still want to buy bread, but I have money maybe let's say from my transport cash envelope. So now this is where things would change. So the debt would still remain the same. The account would be the envelope that I am removing that amount from, in this case my transport. But then the transaction, let's say this time I'm buying milk. However, the category will be groceries because that's what that money is intended for. I will not include transport here because that wasn't a transport cost. I am buying milk, thereby it becomes a grocery expense. However, I still need to indicate the correct category from which I am pulling out that information, and then I will write out that information. Let's say milk is 10 kwacha, so I would indicate 10 kwacha as a withdrawal. However, so it would be the date, transport, milk, groceries, because I put that information from my transport, but it's meant for a grocery expense. So this is how one of the most tricky part in terms of figuring out how to enter information accurately in your expense tracker, because the information that you're going to write here will actually reflect on every other single worksheet that comes after. So that would be in your debt payment plan, your net worth trackers, as well as your where did my money go worksheets. So now let's zoom out and check out the remaining worksheets. So in terms of the debt payment plan worksheets, I believe they are still the same. We have a section where you would enter your creditors, your balance, the interest rate for that you are paying, the minimum payments that you need to pay, and then another section to identify the order in which you intend to pay off that debt. Then another section for extra debt payments that is retrieved from your bill tracker and also your expense tracker. So this section here will populate information there. Then we have a section to identify your monthly debt progress and your overall debt progress. We move on to another favorite worksheet of mine, which is the monthly net worth tracker. So in terms of the layout, it is essentially the same. We have a section to enter your debt, and then a section to enter the record of how much you had in terms of your net worth the previous month, a section where you can enter all your assets and all your liabilities, and then find out what your total net worth here, and an overview in terms of how much you have saved or added on to your net worth from month to month in amount form and percentage form here. I always like to see that number be positive, but there are times actually when they are negative. So I'll be actually going through all my budget overviews, recaps, and net worth updates throughout December. So if you're interested in watching that, please subscribe. And then we have the first Where Did My Money Go worksheet. Very, very important worksheet. I can't stress this worksheet. I think after the expense track, I feel like this is the second most important worksheet in the Budget by Paycheck Workbook. So for this one, she has clarified how you actually enter the information at the top. So starting balance and incoming balance added together will give you your total monthly income. So this would be your starting balance from last month's balances. Incoming income will include the amount that you budgeted for and any other allowances that you might have received, money that you've used from your sinking fund that was not originally budgeted for. Anything that comes in is referred to as incoming income. And then right up the bottom, you have a section to highlight your budget categories, how much you budgeted for that specific category, and you pull this information from your paycheck bill tracker. Everything here will populate these rows here. And then your monthly spent column will be entered once you have fully closed out your budget by grouping all like expenses together by looking at your expense tracker. So that's where you would find the monthly spent amount. Then the difference would simply be a subtraction, and then the percentage, she gives a formula at the bottom, which is monthly spent total divided by total monthly income times 100 will give you a percentage of income. And your monthly spend should zero out because you originally, if you are using a zero-based budget, it means you've spent all your money somehow or somewhere. Either you've added the extra to debt or savings, but your total monthly income should also total your expenses, and after you do the subtraction, that should zero out. Then we have the second Where Did My Money Go worksheet. In terms of the differences between the two, I think they have pretty much stayed the same. So we have a section where you include your debt and your savings. So for this worksheet, this actually highlights and tells you exactly where your money is going in terms of your debt or your savings. So it will give you a percentage of how much you've spent in a percentage of your income for debt and a percentage of income towards savings. And then this will allow you to see instantly where you are saving the most or paying debt off the most. So this is very, very handy because this should align with the priorities, which is actually added here. If you've got a priority of saving more money towards, let's say you're buying a new car or furniture, this probably should be alignment here, or rather here, or if you're deciding to pay more money towards debt, that should also be reflected under the debt category section. So the last where did my money go worksheet is a monthly spending comparison. This worksheet allows you to see trends or changes in terms of your spending from month to month. So let's say you give yourself a small challenge of spending less money towards probably clothing, household, or grocery, or even beauty. So this will actually tell you whether or not you are achieving or getting closer to that goal. So this is where you'd enter your spending categories, and all this information is retrieved from the first where did my money go worksheet, and in turn this information is retrieved by correctly entering or filling in your expense trackers. And then finally we have a section for the teller slips. So if you remember, we had the cash envelope breakdown worksheet where you enter the cash envelope breakdown, and you can simply take this to the bank and they'll give you out the information according to the denominations and the quantity. So I don't use these ones. I have the sticky note version from last year, so I pretty much use these, and I have quite a bit, and that's the reason why there's still quite a bit is so I was saying I have quite a few teller slips to go, probably last me a lifetime. And the reason why I have quite a bit of teller slips is because I only withdraw cash once a month, so these will probably last pretty much a lifetime, I guess. So that is the end of January, and from here on out the months are essentially identical. So February we'll start off with the bill tracker, rather the budget calendar, and then we have the 5 bill trackers, and then we have the 6 expense trackers, and then we have the debt payment plan, your net worth tracker, and then your where did my money go worksheets, and then finally your teller slips again. So essentially the exact same thing. So everything is undated, meaning you can simply start as soon as you receive it. So if, let's say, if I wanted, I would simply write out my November budget using the November section. However, I still have quite a bit. I still have my 2020, and this is where I will write my November budget all the way until December, and I will only start using that one in 2021. So I'll simply flip through each tab so that you see the notes that Kumiko has added on each cover page. But yes, this is essentially the Budget by Paycheck Workbook. I am in love with this book. I can't stop thinking about this book or trying to get as many people as I can to use this workbook. So January has a quote from the Budget Mom. People around you won't understand your journey. They don't need to. It is not for them. And this is why it is called personal finance. It isn't called Jack, Jim, Daliso, Walia, or K's finance. It's personal finance. So you are your own coach, and you decide how you are going to budget things. So do not listen to what other people say, which I agree with. And then for February we have, without facing the reality of your spending, you will always be left with confusion and regret. Very, very true. Tracking your expense, very, very important. And then March is, tomorrow you will wish you had started today. Essentially what is going on with this budget video. Frankly speaking, I am not happy with the light, but I said I will finally get a budget video out. So I am working with what I have. Hopefully by the next video I'll have better lighting. Then April has to prove to yourself nothing is impossible. Very true, very true. And then we have May. Finding happiness with what you have today will always save you from wanting more in the future. really true. And I practice personal, rather self-love and daily gratitude, so this really hits home. For June, we have Stop Living the Big Dreams to the Millionaires. I remember she actually posted this a while back on her Instagram page. By the way, if you are not following the Budget Mom on Instagram or checking out her YouTube channel, I will post all the links to everything where I bought the workbook from, and also all her social media channels. Please join the TBM Facebook group as well. We have quite a bit of people from all around the world encouraging one another to attain at least some financial freedom, or at least get to a place where everyone is comfortable. And everyone is at different stages of their journeys. Others are paying off debt, others are looking into growing their wealth. Personally, I am really at the basic level, just starting out, trying to figure things out, laying the foundations, ensuring that I have my 12 months saved up, and then we'll start looking towards more investment, hopefully in 2021. Then July has the most important thing is that you are proud of the change you have brought into your life. Extremely proud of myself so far. I have learned so much, and which is weird because the moment you start paying attention to how much money is coming in and actually going, you realize that there is a shift in your mindset, especially with what it is that you value the most and how exactly you spend your money. Then August has the worst thing we can do is to allow someone else's progress make us feel bad about our own. Really, this comes down to self-love. If you aren't really sure about yourself, it becomes quite challenging. September is on this journey. You will realize it's not about having lots of money. If you don't know how to manage it, you will always feel poor, no matter how rich, no matter how much money you have. 1,000,000% very accurate. And the reason why I am actually sharing my budget starting from January is the following. So in January, if you look at my income, the easiest worksheet to show you where my income is the money, where did my money go worksheet. You see that I had a total income of 9,370 kwacha. This was the money that was coming in, and this has drastically changed. But if you look at this worksheet, there are a lot of red marks, and this red mark simply means that I was over budget in all of these categories. So basically, I had no idea what I was doing in terms of managing my money before I started using this workbook. But if you look at my September where did my money go worksheet, not only has my income increased, but I have a better handle in terms of allocating or even estimating how I will spend that money. So in September, I had a total income of 13,873, and this time I was over budget by 7 budget categories. Of course, savings is one of them. So really, you always want to be over budget in savings because you want to save more money. So I was essentially over budget in 5 categories. But even if I was over budget in 5 categories, I know why certain things happen. So I can literally go back to my expense trackers and tell you why there was a shift with my budget. And since starting to track my expenses, they've been outliers, but I have been really good about zeroing out my income. So this month was an outlier because I probably forgot to identify or write down one transaction that went through, but I know I spent money somewhere. And this is why this rings true to me to say it doesn't really matter how much money you make. If you do not know how to manage that money, you will always feel poor. I really agree. And that's the same thing to say that you are only going to learn financial management once you start making more money. If you can't budget 100 kwacha, 500, 2,000 kwacha, there is no way you're going to budget money when you have 20,000 kwacha. I understand that there are scenarios where essentially you need more money, but then if you do not know how that money is moving in and out of your life, it really becomes tricky when you have more money. Then October simply says, struggle and the ability to overcome is empowering. Be proud of what you've accomplished. Some monthly reminders, especially when things aren't progressing as you hope they are. Then November is, the journey to pay off your debt is to change the way you look at money and how you manage it. Paying off debt is really important, especially if you are trying to build wealth in the long run. So I also agree with this one. So yes. And then finally we have December, which reads, once you stop comparing yourself to others, that's when you'll find true contentment. Really true. Always live life in your own lane and be thankful. Always express gratitude with what you have, and you'll be good to go. So those are the quotes from month to month. And essentially, if we look at December, we have the same layout. We start with our bill calendar, then we have your 5 paycheck bill trackers, and then after your bill trackers and cash envelope breakdowns, you should have your debt payment plan, your expense trackers first, and these should total 6. I'll skip through a few. And then you have your debt payment plan, your monthly net worth tracker, then your 3 where did my money go worksheets, and then finally the final teller slip for December. Then we have a pocket folder where you can attach little paper notes. So I don't carry mine around with me, so this is perfect because I simply leave it on my desk. And then we have 2 budget stickers, which the budget mom has provided, and these are clear stickers, so you do not need to worry about whether or not they'll match a theme. These are clear stickers. And then we have our final page. So this was the star of the show, but I also got some cash envelopes. So I already bought these same cash envelopes last year, but I decided to purchase more because the ones that I got off Amazon are not of good quality, and these ones do not rip and tear, and I've been using quite a few. So those are the ones I got this year, and these are the ones that I already had. So if I show you my Filofax wallet, oh, and by the way, she came out with a Filofax, the Budget Mom Filofax, which you can get off the Filofax website. I will also link that below. So I already have 2 Filofax wallets. I have this blue one and another black one, which I will switch to the new year. So I couldn't justify buying a 3rd Filofax wallet. So currently these are my cash envelopes, and I don't include all cash envelopes in my Filofax wallet, but these are the Budget Mom envelopes, and they are quite nifty actually. The flap, I thought the flap would bother me, but actually these are very good cash envelopes, and they are tear free, so these will last quite a bit of time. So I will be creating another video, or actually you tell me if you would actually want to see a video on how I set up my entire wallet, especially once I transfer things to this black one for 2021. So that is everything from what I ordered from the Budget Mom this year. So essentially it was just the budget book and also cash envelopes, and now I have 2 trackers. So I have that for this one. So this one is the 2021, and then where is the 2020 tracker? If I can find it. Oh yes, there we go. So this is the 2020 tracker, and I'll actually be using both next year because I usually flip through the expense tracker and the paycheck bill tracker quite frequently, especially when bills are checked out or when bills are paid. So yeah, please let me know if you like this video. Besides the budget overviews from January up until now, let me know if there's anything that you would want to see. So I'll be actually going through all my budget starting from January up until now, because I feel like a lot of people can learn from the mistakes that I made, but I wouldn't consider myself a pro, but I feel like once you have the entire system down, everything becomes easier. And not only that, you can actually tweak and perfect the budget by Paycheck Workbook according to your circumstances, because the way the budget mom actually fills out her information and budgets is slightly different to the way I do it, except that pretty much most of what I do is lifted from her, but I have customized it to the way I actually budget and live. So yes, this is my budget by Paycheck review. I hope you found this useful. Please like, share, subscribe, do all those YouTube things, and then don't forget to leave a comment below if you have any questions. I'll be posting more videos on my Instagram, so if you want to follow me on other social media platforms to get daily updates, I suggest you go through Instagram. Thank you so much for sticking by, and then I'll catch you in my next budget video, which is January. Thank you, stay blessed, and have a good day.